Hey guys, ECRG here, back with another video. Today we're doing another Glassdoor review. And of course we've got Icon, Docs Global. They are the same company, and it's a great company. They are a mid to large size CRO based out of Dublin, Ireland. And they've got a strong presence in the USA, the United States. So if you're US based, look out for Icon. They're not as big as, say, a Cineos or an IQVIA, but they are in the mid to large tier. You can see by their revenue, they made 500 to a billion last year, where a Cineos and a IQVIA are well over $1 billion. But that's neither here nor there. They were founded in 1990. They are in the biotech and pharmaceuticals. They are a CRO. And, you know, you've got competitors like Parexel and PRA. And they're in competitors with IQVIA and Cineos and all that stuff. So I do know some people that have worked at Icon and they liked it. They do a lot of risk-based monitoring. I know people that have worked there in the monitoring capacity. So typically they were only going out to sites every 6 weeks and not the usual time. They didn't travel as much, which they tended to like because traveling can get pretty hectic and time consuming. So they are known for that. But they also, if you work in a CRO, you know you have studies that have been going on for a long time and may do things the old way. They may use some of the old systems and things of that nature. So, of course, they probably still do some traditional monitoring because of having the old studies and such like that. But I'm sure all the new stuff is going to be with the risk-based format, just like pretty much at every CRO nowadays with the update to GCP R2, E6 R2. So, without further ado, let's get into it a little bit more. They've got an overall rating of 3.3. Pretty solid on 615 reviews. Once again, that's pretty solid. 77% approve of the CEO. That's pretty good. Sierra and Murray, pretty good. So that's pretty good. So let's go ahead and see if we can get into some of these reviews. Of course, we like to focus more on the clinical side and project management side because that's what a lot of people are interested in that follow this channel, and that's a great entry point into the CRO. So let's go ahead and get into it. So far I'm not seeing anything that's standing out that's outstanding. Let's see some of the popular. I've been working in this company for more than 5 years. Excellent work-life balance, nice culture, flexibility, and being able to work from home. So that's probably just dependent on what your job is. There was a little more work-life balance for most positions because of the nature of the work. And then this person said no work-life balance. So, wow, that's pretty much contradicting exactly what the pros say. So let's go ahead and get down. So great. All right, here's finally one. We can get in there. Let's see. The place to work if you want to feel underappreciated and never move up. And this is in Yardley, Pennsylvania. So let's see what they say. They've been working more than a year. So benefits, all they say is PTO and 401k. So here are some of the cons. Poor salary, poor bonus, not worth mentioning. New office that is extremely too small. No full-length fridge. Not enough room for staff to eat lunch. Staff sell snacks to employers, charges us. No extras here. No lunchroom or room for company-wide conference. Terrible planning of space. When built, they didn't consider growth. This tells you something. All right, so here's some advice they have. Appreciate and cultivate the talent you have. Promote from within. Everyone keeps leaving as you hire from outside. You don't do exit interviews, but would gain so much if you knew why everyone was so happy to leave. Such a large international company, but so cheap when it comes to employers and demanding overtime more time than not. No work-life balance, when at any time you'll be asked to stay another few hours or cancel your weekends. So, okay, that's interesting. Let's see what else we can come across. Promote talent from within. This is anonymous. They gave a pretty positive outlook there. Cons, no career advancement. Some people are promoted within a very short period of time, while others work just as hard or harder. It's who you know. And this is a theme we've seen pretty much throughout the entire channel for sure, but on these Glassdoor reviews as well, because it's always about that. Humans, we are primarily social, and we always are going to give the jobs to our friends or help our friends out. So it's always who you know. That's always the answer. It will never change. So, great company, great overall. I'm trying to look for ones that have a little bit more meat on them. So we got a clinical trial manager, been working at Icon full time. No growth. You'll remain at the same position for a long time unless you're project management. They move those individuals up quickly. More individuals along the career path quicker. So that's interesting that they say that. I'm actually not surprised by that, because it seems to be like that at a certain point, especially when you're at the clinical trial management role. It seems like you have to go over to be a project manager, and that's the prototypical way to get up the ladder. You can go be a project manager, project director, vice president, or whatever the path is, director of a region, or whatever it is after that. But it's typically along the project management chain where you can go up the career path. So I find that in the early levels, CTA, because Docs does have CTAs. So clinical trial assistant, then CRA, CRA 1, CRA 2, CRA 3, senior CRA, and up to CTL. That happens relatively quickly, I find. But you get stuck if you want to move up past CTL unless you go over to project management, typically. That's what I've seen. So comment down below if you have seen that also or disagree with that. But so if you want to make the money faster, definitely go clinical side. But if you want a more long-term approach and want a career grow, be an executive one day, you definitely want to go along the project management chain, because that's more geared towards that. So it just depends on what you want and what you like. Obviously, project managers, directors, they don't travel as much as a CRA would. So if you're more interested in travel and being on the clinical side, that's going to be better for you. But don't be discouraged by that, because you can always move and jump around. It's not that big a deal, as long as you stay mobile and open to, maybe changing companies if you have to. So it's not that big a deal, but just keep that in mind. So service manager, overworked, not enough training for new employees. Okay, here's finally some with some meat on it. Project manager, that's good. So great working environment, very supported, treated well. Here are cons. They tried to move the PM into maintenance without asking. Local management is much more unaccustomed to working with entry-level, lower-level employees as opposed to highly trained employees that can work effectively and efficiently with minimal interference. The pay is low for my area. Little room for promotion without many years of service. Okay, so advice they give is review the pay scale, and when you see a rotating door of employees in specific divisions and areas, take a better look at your management. Employees rarely quit jobs, they quit managers. That's true. We've seen that quote a lot on LinkedIn, where they rarely quit the job, but they tend to quit the manager. And that's true. It's very hard to work with a very difficult manager. And, that's interesting that they say the pay is low, because the cost of living in Florida can be pretty low in certain areas. So I'm curious about that too. And they have a favorable tax code too. So curious about that. But I don't think Fort Lauderdale is like a bastion of clinical research anyway. So that may just come with the territory, not living in a place with a lot of competition. Let's see what else we got. So this one rated at 2 stars. Cons, management does not care about its employees at all. The workload has increased significantly over the past few years with no increase in salary to compensate. The company seems content to have staff leave after a year instead of trying anything to keep them around. No investments at all in IT or support services unless it makes things cheaper. The company motto should be, as long as we can do it cheaper. Oh, wow. Okay, so it seems like we're seeing the same thing over and over. Low salaries, et cetera, et cetera. Management is bad and not being able to move up. So that's pretty much what we're seeing. So let's see if we divvy it up by job title, what we get. So this is a clinical trial assistant, and that's their entry-level role in the clinical side of things. So let's see what they say. Pros: working independently, room to grow within the company, friendly coworkers. So that's good. New employee training is unorganized. That's a con. Other than the training, I do not have any con to add. I enjoy working for this company very much. Okay, so clinical trial associate. Okay, clinical trial assistant. Maybe that's just a typo. Cons: no HR presence or management at all. Micromanagement by line managers. Poor communication. No employee engagement. Unequal treatment of employees is common. No clear or easy path for advancement. So that's about the third or fourth time we've seen that there's no clear or easy path for advancement. And so, I mean, this just goes to show you are in charge of your own career if there's no easy path. Most people know the path. If you're a clinical trial assistant, the path is for you to be a CRA. That's the path. So you've got to, essentially make your manager put you in that position in order to get promoted. You got to be upfront with the manager saying, hey, what do I need to do in order to get to here? And make a clear goal. Definitely don't just expect them to promote you and put you where you want to be. You've got to grab it by the horns and put yourself where you want to be. So that's kind of all on you. That's how I look at it. It's up to me to make it happen, not up to the manager. I'm just using the manager to get to where I want to be. And that's really how I look at it. I'm on the offense there at all times. And that's pretty much how you got to look at it too, because corporate America is cutthroat. People are pretty much just looking out for their own best interest. Your manager is there to mentor you and make sure you don't fail too badly. But other than that, they're looking out for their own best interest. They're covering their behind, and you've got to do the same. But you're most likely, if you're in a clinical trial assistant position, you have room to be a lot more aggressive because you're at the bottom of the totem pole. Where once you make it up, you're more in a defensive mindset. You're trying to protect what you've already accomplished and what you've already gained. So be on the offense, guys. Attack, and you'll see good things happen. So let's see. It's okay for entry level, but you'll get bored after 2 years. Great benefits, decent salary, good understanding of entry level clinical research, and good line management. Cons. Now, this is a big one. And if you're planning on interviewing at Icon, you definitely want to ask about this for a CTA position. Rarely promote CTAs to CRAs. Hard to move to other positions within the company. Not clear on next step for career in Icon. Okay. Now, that's a big one. If you're interested in being a CRA, you want to make sure that, and this was in 2017, so maybe it's changed because that was over a year ago. But you want to make sure that people are at least able to get into the position that you want to get into. So if you're project coordinator, entry level, and you want to be a project manager, you want to make sure that it is acceptable and is basically commonplace that you aren't the first one to want to do that. So you can do that by talking to other people that work there on LinkedIn, talking to the people that you interview with, or et cetera, et cetera. So here's finally a juicy one. Clinical trial assistant, positive outlook, recommends. Flexibility in regards to work-life balance. So that's good. Great work-life balance. New office building. Oh, this is in Pennsylvania, by the way. Friendly and smart coworkers. Office is what I would describe as a positive place. Blah, 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 blah. Ability to work remotely 1 day a week. So that's good. Okay, so just a bunch of good stuff in there. But here are the cons. Jobs within the company might only be open to internal applicants for a matter of a few days. With such a small window, unless you are free and ready to apply on those specific days, you can easily miss what would otherwise be a great opportunity to advance within the company. So that kind of goes within the saying that, or the line that it's hard to advance within the company. So it looks like they're not trying to advertise jobs, and a lot of companies do that sometimes they do a lot of smoke and mirrors around the good jobs that are really competitive. But you just got to make sure, that's what I mean by staying on the offense, that you're in the know when things are happening. Don't let other people find out and you not know when things are happening. So make sure that you know when those jobs are coming out. Make friends with the recruiters, the talent acquisition department. Make sure you respond and reach out to them on a consistent basis, so you know what things are planned for the future, and you should know when this is happening. And the fact that they only have it up for a few days means less competition. So if you have a good chance. And if you haven't listened to our video yet, on, I think it was about internal networking, or maybe it was about why it was titled "Why an External Candidate Should Not Be Able to Beat You," or "Why an Internal Candidate is Better Than an External Candidate," something along those lines. But basically saying you have all the advantages over somebody else by being internal. You should know the hiring manager. You should know the recruiter. You have experience there. You have so many advantages over the external candidate. So they really should not beat you in any job application, unless that they are specifically looking for someone with a different set of experience and ideas from outside the company. Other than that, you have everything on your side. So project assistant, I already see this. Management was one of the worst people I've ever had the pleasure of working with. Doesn't seem like such a pleasure if that's the case. So pretty much the same thing we always see. Management can be bad depending on where you're working, and advancement can be bad. So that's pretty much the summary of these reviews. Let's go ahead and get into, see what the jobs tab says. Oh, that's just what they have open now. Let's see what the salaries are talking about. See how they're paying. So clinical trial assistant, $41,000 a year. That's pretty good. That's not bad for a CTA. I know IQVIA pays around that as well, maybe even a little bit lower, depending on if you're contract or not. But that's not bad. Project manager, $83,000 for a level 1 or level 2. That's not bad at all. It's not bad. I think this is one of the most underpaid positions in clinical research, probably next to clinical research coordinator. But that's not bad. That's not terrible. Senior CRA, you'd like to see that over 100 easily over 100. CRA 2s would make around this. That'd be the high end for a CRA 2. So you definitely want to negotiate over 100,000 for a senior. This should be an entry level CRA for sure. Level 1, that's 67,000. That's the low end. Easily the low end. Senior CRA, once again over 100. You'd want to see that. Low end for CRA 2. For CRA 2, you want to see about 85 to 95. So that's not terrible, but definitely on the lower end. CTA 43,000. That's right up there. SSU 52,000. That's about right. CRA 89,000, 85. See, there we go. CRA 2, 85,000. Now we're talking. Now we are talking. Senior project manager, 117,000. Yes, that's good. But I think it should be way up. I think it should be higher than that. But that's about right. Let's see what else we've got. SaaS programmers, project manager. There we go. 120,000. Director, 138,000. There we go. CRA level 1, 63,000. You'd like to see closer to 70, but most people will take 63 as an entry level CRA, as a level 1. So that's good. Just to do this, project assistant. Once again, that's going to be close to clinical trial assistant. That sounds like it's the entry level role for project management. So that's pretty good. That's solid. Hourly 20 to 25. That's perfect. So it looks like they're paying pretty well. They're not undercutting by any means. So that's pretty good. I think when we did the review for it was Par Excel, they had great salaries for in-house CRAs and CRAs. And I think that's overall the best company we've reviewed so far. So if you haven't watched that one, make sure you watch that one, Par Excel. So now we're going to go over the interviews at Icon to see what you should be looking out for. But average interview difficulty, positive experience, applied online. That's pretty much how anyone does anything these days, is online application. So had a brief phone call with HR, so that's the in-house recruiter. Had 3 rounds of interviews to meet with the department manager and team leads. Everyone was friendly. There were a lot of questions and concerns, specifically with work-life balance and how I personally handle stress. So sounds like a behavioral, situational interview type questions. And that's very, very common nowadays. So make sure you're looking out for that when you interview. So not surprised at all. Project manager in Farmingdale, New York. And look, how you handle stress. They definitely want to know. And, I've been asked that question in all of my interviews as well. So that's a pretty common interview question now. So met in a room with director and managers of the department. There were maybe 2 rounds. They're pretty desperate to hire anyone right about now. Dang, this was February 14, 2018. So yeah, 2018 specifically is supposed to be one of the best years in clinical research. So we'll see. I remember when my friends were getting hired, they were getting pushed out the door to be CRAs, right up around a year, and they're right around a year in the industry. It got harder in 2017, probably because of all the mergers and acquisitions. But the industry kind of dried up from a hiring perspective at certain parts of 2017. So we're going to look for it to rebound in 2018 in a big way and continue that momentum into 2019. So let's see what else we've got. There may be 2 rounds. They're pretty desperate to hire anyone since Maria just left. One girl got hired and she has no experience except waitressing. They also hired another girl who had no experience besides an assistant at a doctor's office. And though it would be insight, they did no background check and didn't realize that the girl got fired from her previous job. Got hired at Icon as a PM. Disclosed one company's information to other companies more than once, and they still kept her around. Another employee was a manager and got demoted because would take 5-hour lunches and never show up to work. Shows you the quality of people they hire here. Super easy job to land if you can speak English properly and know how to talk smoothly. Okay, that's interesting. That they would hire people as PMs like that. So maybe they've changed the title. I'm not quite sure. Because for PM, you need years of experience. You can't go be a project manager, having no experience. That's just not accurate. Okay. I applied online. The process took 4 weeks. Interviewed in Durham, November 2017. Pretty simple. Contacted by talent acquisition, then contacted for an interview, then back to talent acquisition for an offer. No trick questions to determine if I'd be a good fit. So that's good to know. Applied online, took 2 weeks. I applied online through Glassdoor and was contacted by a recruiter about a week later. Set up a phone interview that lasted about 15 minutes, asking essentially what I expected of the role and if I was still interested. She set up an in-person interview right there and called me the day of my interview to give me tips on how to get through the interview. The in-person consisted of 2 people asking questions, mostly behavioral and situational. It lasted about an hour. They were extremely nice and told me things I did well. That's nice. So look, here's one with no offer, but it was a positive experience. So that's not true. They won't hire just anybody off the streets. So easy process, initial phone interview with recruiter to explain position and determine my interest in Icon and the position. Was then contacted for 2 separate phone interviews with project managers. So that sounds like a project assistant interview. So everything sounds the same. Let's read this one. Applied through recruiter. The process took 2 weeks. Was contacted by a recruiter, asked me a few basic questions. Blah, blah, blah. Next, I had to answer several interview questions online through their web-based system, then submit the video. It consisted of about 15 questions. I had never done that before, so it was a different experience. About a week later, I was contacted to interview with 2 CRA managers via webcam. One was pleasant and the other was hard to read. I thought I did okay, but when I asked questions about the travel requirements, it may have come across as I had issues with the travel, which is 8 to 10 days on site a month. After the interview, I sent thank you emails, and that was that. I never heard back, even after sending an inquiring follow-up, which was about 3 weeks. I got the hint and went elsewhere. So it sounds like it's a pleasant experience, pretty much par for the course with everything we've discussed before in the previous Glassdoors. Reach out to talent acquisition. You first have a phone screen, then you have your interview, usually 2 or 3, can be a panel or probably 2 or 3 separate interviews. And that's that. I mean, pretty simple and straightforward. No big surprises there from anyone. Now let's talk benefits. Benefits is always interesting to me because people care about different things. Some people want more PTO. Others want, great 401k. Others just want cash. I happen to be in the PTO and cash department where I don't really care about anything else. But that's just me. So looks like very good insurance plan, 401k matching, decent vacation time. I think what's more important to me about PTO is the culture around it, because you could have PTO, but if no one's taking it, then you're going to be more inclined to not take the PTO. So that's an important thing to ask. And maybe you even ask that in your interview, is when you ask about PTO, what's the culture around taking PTO? Are people quick to take it, or is it always, is there a big hoopla whenever someone wants to take some time off? So I would definitely ask about that. And I actually might do a video about that. But standard benefits so far, best thing is you get all your allocated pay time off right in the beginning. You don't earn it by the month. That's very nice. I like that. Generous PTO package from day one. The best was company's sick time and paid time off policy. So it looks like they're very strong in the PTO department. So above average generous benefit package. Health insurance. Oh, they got the gym reimbursement. So that's things that companies are doing as well, where they will reimburse you for your gym fee monthly, which is nice. Very good PTO, vacation and sick days combined into one bank, 21 days starting, which is great. Decent number of paid holidays, good health insurance, not too expensive. They match your first 3% contribution at 100% and match your second 3% at 50%. So that's good. PTO, tuition reimbursement, flex weeks, half-day Fridays. Okay, wow. CRAs are able to work from home instead of going to an office. So pretty much par for the course benefits. Sounds like they've got a great PTO package, which is very good. I'm always a proponent of PTO, and I'm sure everyone is also. One thing you'd want to ask is about the culture around PTO. So that's something to think about as well. But overall, Icon seems like a stand-up company, and ones that I've heard good things about working. The only downsides seem to be about the ability to move up and sometimes the management. But other than that, it seems like a pretty great company. So I'd give them a thumbs up. So shout out to Icon. They're doing good things. And, they have a global presence. So I'm sure that they're looking to expand and become an even larger CRO in the future. And a good way to do that is by, one, having great reviews on Glassdoor, because then people will want to apply and work for you. So if you like this video, go ahead and like it. Subscribe. As always, hit that red subscribe button. It really helps us out. As always, email us at eliteclinicalgroup@gmail.com for any inquiries you may have. And let us know if you'd like us to review any other companies, maybe like a vendor or something like that. Let us know down below if you'd like us to review any other companies. That's it, guys. Take care.